on. We are going live. I got a little bit better at the streaming setup here, so let me just check our live stream is working properly. Let's make sure the audio is working properly. Let me make sure that I drop this link in the chat actually, because I haven't done that yet. In the Discord chat, here you go. And as people trickle in, I'll start answering questions that have already been requested from earlier. I've got two screens going on here and another computer, so I think I'm loud enough. I think we can hear myself. Good to know. Okay, so this time for sure I got the YouTube chat open as well. I got the Discord chat open. Jay, you shouldn't use the upper traps to breathe, but yes to lower traps. Jay, if you feel it in the lower traps, I would suggest that you go for it that way. Which screen am I looking at? I'm looking at here. I would suggest that you go for it in the lower traps. Should be breathing into the posterior mediastinum. I think all of those muscles are going to wake up. So this is Jay. He's saying some muscles should be used to breathe while some others should not. As we get deeper into this practice, hopefully all of your muscles wake up and you realize that those other ones are also all part of the breath as well. But for right now, if you feel it in certain muscles more than others, then take the path of release resistance and use those muscles to breathe. Sarah Lynn's asking what is holographic? HB. HB is holographic breathing. So if you go into the lessons tab, you will see a list of videos that you can watch. Holographic breathing is one that you got to watch in order to, well, I'll explain it here as well, but in order to understand what's going on. So let me go through some of the most frequently asked questions. As I go into that, let me share my screen so you can get a visualization of what we're trying to do. There's no audio because it's in French, so don't worry about that.
Le diaphragme crânien étant une expansion ménagée, vous voyez apparaître ici la faute du cerveau et la tente du cervelet. Le diaphragme cervical étant constitué de la langue, des muscles sphygmoïdiens et l'ossioïde. Le diaphragme thoracique, très connu, qui est une séparation, une grande cloison musculaire qui sépare l'abdomen de la cage thoracique. Le diaphragme pelvien, cette grande corbeille musculaire qui relie le sacrum aux os iliaques, aux os du bassin.
Hey Sarah Lynn, behave.
Les diaphragmes vont travailler ensemble, en synergie, et vont stimuler la circulation, vont stimuler les différents centres nerveux. Le diaphragme thoracique, vous voyez, c'est un muscle très intéressant, très important, va descendre à l'inspiration et remonter à l'expiration. Il va mobiliser les viscères, les intestins, le foie, le pancréas, la vessie, et ces viscères vont descendre à l'inspire et remonter à l'expire et vont stimuler le diaphragme pelvien. Vous voyez la dynamique, la mobilisation de toute la colonne.
Okay, thank you Swiss R for the indication that my audio and the mic is humming. Hopefully I can get it on without it having humming too much. This is honestly like to stream across multiple setups is quite difficult. All right, you guys are gonna have to watch yourself in the Discord chat. It's a family-friendly chat. It's a friendly chat, first off. So I'm not gonna be monitoring it too closely because we're on a live stream right now, but just keep it friendly. So what you're watching right now on the screen, let me turn my audio up to make sure that I'm still hearable, is a visual representation of what we are attempting to wake up in your body. This is how you actually do breathe. Even if you're not aware of it yet, your muscles are trying to do this. But yeah, it looks like you can hear me. So let's go back through the video, individual parts, and then we're going to go into the meditation, and then we're going to go into questions. Okay. So these are the multiple diaphragms that you do have in your body. The one that you're probably most aware of, well, he's talking about chakras actually, but the diaphragms that you're most aware of is the middle one, and that's what we're going to start with. This is the one that's up in your head. People have been asking for a visualization of the cranial motion. This is what we're trying to restart. All of these bones, when you breathe in and breathe out, should be moving like what you see here. And if we can get them moving again like what you see here, the sutures, we have scientific evidence that says that the sutures cause growth, they induce growth when there's rhythmic movement. So it's not this dramatic, that's a overly dramatic movement, but this is the movement that we're restarting with your breathing. And the way that we do that, you can see here the muscles that pull up the rib cage, that pull up on your chest, those connect up into your occiput, into the back of your head and into your cranial base. So with those muscles re-engaged in breathing, those are what actually cause the cranial sacral motion. For most people, those muscles have gone dormant, and what we're trying to do is wake them up in you. And you can see here that it's not your diaphragm that's pulling your whole chest apart. It plays a role, but it's all of these muscles that are hanging off of your head, hanging off of the back of your head, that link down onto your chest, and they pull your rib cage up and out. Here's the diaphragms that we were talking about. The fact that you probably know about this main one, this thoracic diaphragm, but you have cervical one and you have also one in your head, which is like the falx cerebri, and you also have a pelvic diaphragm. Getting all of those breathing again is, you don't breathe with those diaphragms, you're going to breathe with all the muscles around them, and those diaphragms are going to move themselves. Could be a little bit louder though. Thank you, George. Jorge. This is the pelvic diaphragm, and you're going to use all of these to breathe. We're going to wake them all up again. This is actually what your breathing motion looks like right now. You can see here, we're going to start here actually. This is where we start. We're going to start the meditation, so get ready for it. Right now, I want you to pay attention to the main diaphragm, the one that you know about, that's in your chest. Take 3 deep breaths in to the chest, really expanding your chest area. And you're going to be able to feel internally that your diaphragm is pushing your chest out. So if you take your hands and see where your ribs meet at your sternum, right here, your ribs come up here and they meet right at your sternum in the middle, and that's where the diaphragm connects. And now put your hand there and breathe and feel that area getting pushed out. That's your natural breath with the diaphragm. Now, what we're going to do is realize that the muscles on the outside of the chest, the ones that link into the arms, the pectoralis, the ones that come off of the skull and hang down into the chest, those ones also help. Those are the accessory muscles of breathing. So if we have a look at the rib cage and the accessory muscles, these are accepted to be muscles that help with breathing when you are very, very in high exertion states. If you've been running, if you've been sprinting, if you've been working out hard, these muscles all engage. It's well known that they engage to help you take the inhale, to expand your chest. Now, what I want you to understand is that those muscles are always fulfilling a breathing function. They should always be. They've just become dormant as a result of traumas and fascial constrictions. So we're going to wake those back up, and by waking those back up, we're going to restart the cranial motion. Okay, so now that you can feel internally the fact that the diaphragm breathes out, feel the external muscles coming in from the pectoralis that are pulling your chest apart on each in-breath. So you have the pectorals, they're coming in from your arms actually, in from your arms and your shoulders, and they're hooking into your chest and they're pulling it apart. And you can put your hands on your chest for the first couple breaths just to get a feel for it. Now, to pull your chest up, you have muscles that are coming down from the back of your head and spreading out onto your chest. Those muscles, the SCMs, can you feel those pull your chest up? From the back of your head, all the way around the sides, grasping onto your clavicles, grasping into your chest. These muscles are pulling your chest up like this. Are you able to feel those? They're going to be quite silent when you start. Some people have already gotten the motion going in advanced states. Now, holographic breathing, continue the motions as best as you can while we're going here. I don't delete stuff from the great work chat, so Jay, you can say whatever you like, but that's fine. You can do that. Threw me off. So these muscles coming off of the back of the head, down your chest, spreading into your chest area and lifting it and widening it. These are largely dormant, but you're going to feel them to start waking up. And if you've done the holographic breathing, now is the time to integrate that as well. So with the holographic breathing, your tongue is going to float gently to the roof of your mouth. And as you take your next breath in, you're going to notice that all of your neck muscles, you have muscles coming down the front of your neck here, those also hook into your chest area and they pull up on that chest area. And the way that you're going to notice that is the fact that your jaw will be pulled down on the in-breath. Every time you breathe in, you're going to feel a slight downward motion as your jaw gets pulled down because of the fact that all the muscles that connect up into the jaw, those also connect down into the chest and expand your chest. As you can see here. So the muscles that go into your clavicle, the muscles that lift up your clavicle, your collarbone, your chest, those also connect up, down, into your jaw, underneath, and then through out to your head. And the reason that you feel it moving in your jaw is because the jaw is on a hinge. So that's the one skull muscle, or this one skull bone, that you can feel move the most. Tune into that, because once you start tuning into that movement, you can start tuning into the fact that the rest of the skull is also breathing. Now, since we have the chest opening up, as you perform that, as the chest is pulling apart, and as the back of the head muscles pulling down or pulling your chest up and out, and that's getting your cranial sacral motion at the occiput restarted, if you can feel it. This muscle chain from the front is also pulling your chest up on every in-breath, and that's also getting your cranial sacral motion restarted, because these muscles here, they also pull in to the occiput, as you can see. It all connects up into the occiput. Now at the back here you have the trapezius muscle, which also connects into the same spot in the occiput. We're just hammering that occiput with 3-4 muscle groups now, because if we can get the motion restarted there, can you see here how your back breathes using the occiput? Your back separates and spreads out using this diamond motion that is the trapezius muscle. And if you can get the feeling of it expanding, you're going to hammer that occiput area again with another 3rd muscle group. And what we're trying to do, and what will convince anyone who, because I don't want you to imagine this, you need to feel it. That's the important part. This should not be imagined. I don't want you to trust what I say. I want you to feel the motion in your cranial bones, and then you'll understand why this is a working method. So if you can feel from your chest all the way back into your occiput, those muscles lifting up your chest. And if you can feel from that frontal muscle chain with the holographic breathing as it pulls down on your jaw, and you can feel those muscles connecting in and also pulling down your occiput. And lastly, you feel your trapezius. The fact that it's expanding your back on every single in-breath. Because it's not just your front of your body that expands. The back of your body expands as well. That's something that you can tune into, because most of us are completely unconscious of the back of our backs. The fact that our backs also play a role in respiration. And this is something we're going to tune into right now. Do you see here on the screen, on the right side, where the trapezius ends at the bottom? At the top, it's at the occiput. That's where you are hooking into that occiput and causing that cranial motion to restart. On the sides, you got your shoulder blades. So the shoulder blades just gently relax and move apart, and it pulls your back open. You breathe with your back. Most people think that you're breathing mostly with that. The diaphragm is actually in the back. The way that it connects, as you can see here, your lungs are mostly in the back of your body. Even though when you breathe, it might seem like it's mostly in the frontal movement, it's actually in your core and in your back that you breathe the most. And so to demonstrate that, and to link it to the trapezius, what I want you to do is take your hands and put them on your back, right about where your rib cage starts, and take in deep breaths, and feel the back of your rib cage expand. Now, right about where you're feeling at the bottom of your ribs. That's where the trapezius ends. That's where your diaphragm links in, and that's also where your psoas links in, your psoas muscle. So as you can see here, that's also the same area that the diaphragm is going to be in, and your psoas muscle also links in from there. And what your psoas does is it pulls the diaphragm back. And we're gonna make this go full circle, which was the intention here of this session's guided meditation. Because the diaphragm connects in at the back, you can look at it as an S. We've created an S shape essentially. So the diaphragm cuts through the middle here. You've got your SCM muscles and your chest muscles. They're going up here to your back, and they're lifting this part forward like this, and they're making the occiput go back and down. Now at the back, at your diaphragm, the back of your diaphragm is going down, or the back with the psoas, it's going down, it's pulling down on it. So as the chest rises up and gets pushed out, that's your diaphragm pushing up and out. At the back, it's getting pulled down. So I want you to imagine the front of your diaphragm is going like this, up, and at the same time the back of your diaphragm is getting pulled down. See if we can get a good picture of this. Here you go. So the Postural Restoration Institute recognizes this as well. The fact that can you see what they're pointing at here? This is your diaphragm, and it links here down this muscle right here that they got going down the leg. That's your psoas. That's your psoas muscle. And it's going to pull down on your diaphragm at the back. And as it pulls down on your diaphragm at the back, can you see it's pushing your rib cage at the front out? And as it pushes up from the front out, that's where we're going to link it into those chest muscles that are linked up into your head. And restarting that sort of S pattern of breathing is what's going to restart the cranial motion. Now, I would like to have questions from the chat and from the Discord. So in the YouTube chat, we have, when the skull starts to grow again, can the body also make up for lost growth? I would think so, because the fact is that the place that we are trying to make move again is the phenobachelar joint. And right there is the pituitary gland. Well spelled. So the pituitary gland is like the master gland for your hormones. So if the body has any growth that needs to restart, we're essentially milking the pituitary gland as it sits right here. So the restarting of this motion, you see here, we got this phenobachelar junction. It's a little bit cut off the screen, I gotta fix that. This phenobachelar junction is right here. So this occiput bone at the back is what we're pulling down with the SCM. We're pulling it down with the trapezius. We're pulling it down with the tongue and that breathing. And also we're pulling down on the sphenoid. That's where we get linked in with the holographic as well. And this is the junction that we are really focused on getting the motion restarted at. Because if it restarts here, your entire skull is built off of this base. And right here is the sella turcica. And the sella turcica is where the pituitary gland is. That's the master hormone gland in your body. It directs all the other ones pretty much. And if that one can get its motion restarted, you're essentially milking it for those hormones that could initiate growth again in adults. So Rushinda Bupri. Okay, she says he or she says that they've had a seizure and have had very sore back for almost 2 months after, and it's now been 6 months and they still get pain in their trapezius muscles when they cough or sneeze. Will this help? A seizure with sore back pain, 2 months. Pain in the trapezius muscles when they cough or sneeze. No, I'm not a medical practitioner. That's the reason I pause, right? Because I need to tell that to you. Those muscles, if they're still in pain, then especially when you cough or you sneeze, that probably means they're quite sore and quite tight. So getting the motion of the breathing restarted with those muscles is quite likely to reduce their tightness so that the next time you do cough or sneeze, they're less likely to be in a prime state for pain. But what we're talking about is people that have normally abnormal growth, if that makes sense. If you've had a seizure that really affects your muscle patterns, that could throw off this theory quite a bit. So you have to be cautious with this, okay? I think anyone can try this, anyone can practice this. If you've had a seizure, you probably are looking at or talking to like medical professionals. You can tell them about this. But seizures do throw off your muscle patterns in ways that are kind of outside the scope of what we do here. So Mayank says, so one is supposed to have awareness of the breathing pattern in their waking hours to practice this method. Yeah, exactly. And what it is awareness is enough. If you bring awareness to the fact that these muscles are breathing and flexing and moving like this, that will be a catalyst for your subconscious brain and your understanding to recognize the fact that everything's all jammed up, really. And once you realize that and you keep your awareness there, it can start to release. And as it starts to release, you're gonna have emotions that come out. You're gonna have people experience, I do, and this is the point that we want you to get to. You're gonna have cracks and pops and that sort of thing happening in your skull, at the occiput, in your nasal area. Those sort of cracks and pops and the feelings of movement is what we're trying to induce. Someone had asked earlier that they're feeling like a tingling in this area, and they want to know, is it in the skin? Am I imagining it? And I want you to not imagine anything. It should be unmistakably the fact that you feel your bones move apart and flex. Now, there are more questions, but I'm going to get into something that I wanted to talk about that was asked, the tongue. Because most of us started here with Mike Mew, John Mew. And John Mew and Mike Mew don't actually agree on everything. One of the main things that they don't agree on is the back third of the tongue. The back third of the tongue for John, which is who we're going to follow here, is the part that goes down into the throat. And now we're linking this into holographic breathing. If you have a look here, that this back third, when you feel that your tongue, if you can picture this, if you can try this, to push the back of your tongue, which is actually starts in your throat, doesn't start in your mouth, it starts at your hyoid bone, to push that against the back of your throat. So you're essentially bracing it against the cervical spine. And that is what John Mew posited was a reason for forward growth. And if you see the connections here, these processes, these muscles that make up the tongue, they connect up into the temporalis bones, the temporal bones, and into that cranial base type area heavily. There's another when illustrating this, they connect actually into the sphenoid. And so when you do the holographic breathing, or when you do the tongue posture, pushing that back third of the tongue up, really what you're doing is you're pulling this back area down and forward, which is also what happens on the in-breath for your SCM muscles and your trapezius muscles and everything. On the in-breath, okay, let's try it. I actually didn't want to try it on this live stream, but let's try it because I haven't tried teaching this to anyone before. So, if you can feel where your hyoid is, and you can feel the fact that that's where your tongue starts. And now, with your mouth closed, this is going to be weird for me because I have to talk. Push back. Push back so that your tongue is bracing against your cervical spine. And you should feel it as if it is providing a postural support for your cervical spine and your skull. It will probably straighten up your neck a little bit. Now, where the tip of the tongue ends up is totally based on how well grown your facial form is, your nasomaxillary complex, because the tongue always grows to its full size. Even if your skull didn't grow all the way, your soft tissues do grow. They grow to the size that they were supposed to. So where your tongue ends up, it's probably going to be somewhere around your bottom teeth. Now, every single time you breathe in, you can let the rest of the tongue gently float to the roof of your mouth and perform the holographic breathing. And every time that you breathe in, you are doing that bracing movement again where your tongue gets pulled back. Your tongue is getting pulled back and your occiput and your temporals are getting pulled in. This is the same motion that happens with your chest. We're attacking this from a bunch of different angles. So now we've got 4 muscles that are connecting up into the back, 4 muscle groups rather, that are connecting up into the back of your head to get that cranial motion restarted. That was a tricky one, so if you didn't get that one, you let me know and we'll work on that one more. What I want everyone to work on most is feeling it through their chest and feeling it in their psoas. If you get it in your psoas, then everything else will get a lot easier, a lot easier, believe me. So let's go through the next chat, and you can let me know in the chat if I can explain that better, because that was my first attempt at explaining it. What type of lost growth? You mean height? So for height, I've been asked about height before, and the fact is that if you're all constricted up, it's just the fact of the matter is that at the very least, your discs in your spine, they're going to be quite contracted. Let me show you on my face instead. So the discs between your spine, they compress and they expand. And it's well known actually the fact that you're taller in the morning because when you're laying down you have a chance to decompress. And so when there is a height discussion going on, theoretically I do think so that if you let go of these constrictions that are all throughout your body, it's just going to end up decompressing the spine, and you have inches hidden in your spine potentially. Is this useful while having controlled arc braces? Yeah, it is. If you currently have, oh actually that reminds me of something that we got to talk about. But if you currently have any sort of braces or device in your mouth that you think, because some people have MSE, so if you feel like that could be restricting the motion at all, don't touch those until you're 100% sure of the motion. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be asking me like, hey, is this constricting? You be telling me that I can feel the fact that everything is moving and I can feel that this is restricting it. And that's the time to take that sort of stuff off, not before. Sam's, I don't know if you guys want me to read your names out, so I won't. But somebody says that they have many cracks and pops at the occiput, but not really anywhere else. the next place that you're most likely to get them is going to be in the nasal passageways, because this whole area is very light. It's a very light bone. Actually, let's try something else now. Let's try another meditation real quick. When you breathe in through your nose, let's get a picture up here for you. So many tabs open. I think it's gonna crash for sure. So you have your maxillary sinuses, and you can look at these as if they were the lungs. This is actually something that we are going to get into more, the fact that the body reflects the head, and the head reflects the body in many ways. So when I say, like, you know, people want to fix their face and fix their skull, and they don't want to focus down there on the psoas and, you know, the chest muscles, and I need to tell you that it's by opening all that stuff up, it's reciprocal. They both open up together, because you're a tensegrity structure, right? Everything unwinds and contracts together. So working down there will do a lot more for your face, actually. Getting the psoas and all those muscles moving massively. So when you breathe in, the air that's coming through your nasal passageways is also filling up these sinus cavities. And to really get the sensation, because we're going to wake up the maxilla, essentially. We're waking up this whole area and the sensations in this area. So when you breathe in right now, close your eyes, open your eyes, however, feel the fact that this whole area of your face is also being filled with air on every inhale. Inhale hard too. You know, if you're not getting it, you can inhale very deeply. And feel the fact that the air is not just going straight down your nose and straight down your throat there. It's coming in here and it's filling up this area. And since this is such a light area, these bones are like wafer thin, that's actually where, if you're getting your cracks at the occiput, that's the next place that they're going to migrate to, because this area is very thin and you're going to start getting cracks and pops as it adjusts and moves back into place. A question that I also had was, let me get a pen. Of course I don't have a pen. I'll just have to remember everything. Was that, does this expand and open your jaw? And yes, it does. Because of the fact that those muscles that connect all up in here, your masseters, temporalis muscles that go like this, and I want you to remember too that, like, the muscles are not, they're not tubes, right? They're fibers, they're muscle fibers. So you have muscle fibers coming down here, and I want you to think of them like strings, like frayed rope that attaches down here and attaches in the various places. And so the muscles that connect up into your jaw in this area that get pulled down and expand, these ones also do a widening motion of the jaw. That's what we were asked about. Something I had to mention as well is that if you're sitting up, if you're standing up and you don't feel the motion as much, you should try it laying down on a firm surface, because when you're standing up or sitting, your muscles are also doing their posture duty, right? They're trying to keep you upright. And if you're trying to reawaken the fact that they breathe, they might have trouble adjusting to that because of the fact that they're not only tight and constricted and all restricted up, but they're also doing the double duty of keeping you upright. So if you relieve them of that duty by laying down on like a firm surface, you're more likely to be able to tune into the motion that's going on here. The Tesla oscillator is something I'm going to have to look into more. I don't speculate on stuff. Like, I speak about what I know, and I'm going to have to write that down. I'm going to have to look up the Tesla oscillator. Could these practices make our head shape more aesthetically pleasing? Yeah, that's totally the point of them, because it's affecting the occiput area. Yep. could it then reduce the forehead size? Whatever, it's not moving individual areas to make things more attractive. The health is attractive. That is attraction. That is beauty. Health is beauty. So by fixing the whole cranial shape, whatever shape it ends up is going to be the most attractive one for you, for your genetic phenotype. And I mean, just getting it fixed at all would put you like in the top percentage of humanity, because most people are messed up in the head, like cranially. So what we shouldn't do hard mewing or power mewing, meaning pressing hard as possible all the time. No, if that was gonna have effects, it would have by now. And if pushing and pulling against this and pushing it out were working, we would have just used headgear. Right? We've had headgear for centuries, and we've been trying to use it on adults. So if just pushing with the tongue, pushing this whole area out was enough, we would have been using headgear, or somebody would have figured that out by now. The reason that we're using these methods to restart the cranial motion is that this is just an outside indicator. It's the most obvious symptom that something's wrong. So we're like, oh, the maxilla is not quite right. We got to fix the maxilla. When actually the problem was much deeper in your skull. It's the phenobachelar joint. It's your cranial base that you got your sphenoid, you got your occiput, then you got, wrong side, you got your occiput, you got your sphenoid, and then it connects up into the frontal, and that's what your face hangs off of. So it's not correcting this, you're correcting the base of the skull. And we're correcting that by getting this area breathing again. Right, from here to the occiput, to the sphenoid, and then your skull and your frontals basically hang off of that. And so getting that moving again, we're gonna fix it. Swiss R, if you're still watching, I really do appreciate that you letting me know about the microphone. We got one person on Twitch, I think. So Dave, well, I'm not reading out names. Well, I've stopped at the end of the hard palate. This feels right though. This makes complete sense if you agree that the tongue in some ways mirrors the abdominal muscles. Yeah, and just mentioning the abdominal muscles, we'll try another thing that you can add here, because everyone's gonna have different fascial constriction patterns. Everyone's locked up in a slightly different way. So what we're trying to do with these live sessions and with the project in general is we're trying to find the series of exercises that works best for as many people as possible. And then once you get the motion restarted, once you start figuring this out yourself, you're gonna develop your practice on your own for the most part. I'm gonna be here to help, and I'm gonna pull in other people to help, and I think I'm a bit more advanced enough that I can really help with this sort of stuff. But you're gonna, we're taking you from completely unconscious of the fact that your muscles are all wound up and you're not breathing properly, to getting those breathing muscles awake again. And then once you do that, when you're laying down or you're meditating or throughout the day, you can tune into your body and find out where things need to be released. So the next thing we're gonna add is the abdomen muscles. This is the last thing we'll add for today, I think. Now, if anyone can explain that, or anyone can understand that S pattern that I'm talking about, I really wish I had looked it up before I started the stream, because I saw a perfect picture for it, but I was doing the whole physical setup. That the back of your head to the front of your chest, your diaphragm going through the middle, so now you're at the back again, and then the psoas going down and to the front of your legs. Do you see how that's like a cross pattern? So like in opposite order, you got the front of your legs, that's where the psoas starts, and then the psoas goes to the back of your body, right around your mid-back, and then the diaphragm connects up into the front, right around your sternum, and then your sternum gets lifted up again at the back of your head. And we've got like a nice symmetry, a nice as above, so below type system going on here. And so when you picture the front of the diaphragm getting pulled up by the chest, and the back of the diaphragm getting pulled down by the psoas, that should really help you wake up that psoas muscle. Because if I can get that restarted in people, you will feel it through your skull and your face. Oh yeah, and the next exercise we're going to try is the fact that your chest also gets pulled down and forward. It's a 3D expansion, right? So the way that it gets pulled down and forward is your abdominals, which connect all the way down into your pelvis. And so those contract, right? So when you're doing like a sit-up, you're contracting those muscles. Well, if your body's not crunching up and those muscles contract, your chest gets pulled down and your pelvis gets pulled up. And so that's restarting that pelvic motion as well. So you can try this. I want you to experiment with these things, and I want you to let me know in the Discord and the chat. I'm here to answer questions. And a lot of people are getting it. If you're getting frustrated by the fact that you're not getting it, I just want you to know that first off, you're doing this breathing anyways. I'm just making you aware of the fact that every time you take a breath in, your brain is signaling these muscles that, hey, breathe. And the muscle does as much as it can before it says, I can't do any more here, I'm constricted, and then you fall back into a compensation pattern. And so we want you to wake up to the fact that these muscles do breathe, and then you find out where those compensation patterns are, and you're going to release them. Just by being aware of them, they'll start to release. If you're not even conscious of it, it's like having an issue. It's like having a mental issue that if you don't know that you have some sort of big problem, you can't even work to start to fix it. And these mental issues and the physical issues go together. So as you become aware of the physical issues, you're going to become aware that a lot of the pain in your body is probably things that you're holding on to. I feel that mewing has given me more hunter eyes. Is that possible? The thing is, I think people do stuff by accident. So I don't doubt that people have gotten more attractive by mewing. I think what they've done is that they get the back third of their tongue up, which the back third is actually the part that's in the throat. And in re-engaging that, they start re-engaging the muscles that connect up into the occiput, and they're restarting that cranial motion. And so they're saying that mewing gave them the hunter eyes, and that, whereas it wasn't the mewing kind of accidentally. John Mew, I agree with his theory more though. It's that back of the tongue. Let me bring it up again. Tongue. Yeah, it's that area that goes. You see here, you got multiple muscles making up the tongue, and this is something important too. Like when I say the SCM muscle or the psoas muscle, it's a muscle group. You got a lot of muscles running through those areas. It's a chain of muscles. You don't have to narrow it down to one. You can just feel the general area is doing that. And same with the tongue. Like your tongue, you typically think of it as one muscle, but it's not. It's a group of muscles, and they connect up into the occiput, into that temporalis occiput area. And that's what I think the mewing that people got results from is they were putting the back third of their tongue up the way like John Mew says, and that pressure, that pulling, when you're putting that up, what are you doing? You're pulling this back, which is also pulling this forward, which is what we were trying to do. We were trying to restart that cranial motion, and I think they just kind of accidentally fixed it. Why do we need to work through emotional trauma? The reason that you're working through emotional trauma is what caused the constrictions in the first place. So if you had your heart broken, that's my favorite example to go through, because you can feel it in your chest, like an aching pain in your chest. Or if you felt fear or you feel those sensations, do you feel them as abstract things in your head? Like is it just in your head like, oh, I feel heartbroken? No, you feel it in your body. When you feel fear, is it just like, are you just kind of aware in your head like, oh, I think I'm afraid? No, you feel it in your body. And in our modern industrialized societies, we're so distracted, we're so-called ADHD, that you don't get a chance to fully process that stuff. And that's the reason that animals don't have messed up faces. That's the reason that they grow fully because their intellectual process doesn't get in the way. They fully process whatever the emotion is, and then their body goes back into homeostasis. Their breathing goes back to normal. When you're panicked, when you're afraid, your breathing gets locked up. When you're in any sort of down mood, like you're in a messed up mood, your breathing goes into constriction. It's in a panic mode. And if you don't fully process that trauma, you never fully get out of that panic breathing mode. You hold on to it. And as that stuff starts to pile up over the years, your breathing becomes in such a compensated state that your cranial-sacral motion stops entirely. And yeah, so those are, you don't need to, I want to make this clear too, you don't need to redo the emotion. You don't need to relive it. You don't need to find the reason for it. So if you had your heart broken, if you want to, you can feel that emotion again. You can relive it, you can let the sensations come out. You don't have to though. It's enough to just be aware of the constriction and feel it. You will probably feel emotions come up no matter what you do. If you don't attach a mental story to those emotions, then they'll just play out. Yeah, maybe that's why I felt the popping so quickly. Quite possibly. Okay. I'm going to wait for more questions. While I wait for more questions, I'm going to jump to another topic. I hope this is helping. I hope, because people are getting it. I know people are getting it, and that's what keeps me going here, because I'm getting the chat messages. I'm getting, even public chat messages, but also in private, the fact that people are feeling it, either as massive emotional release or as massive feeling, that they can feel it through their face and their skull, and they can feel the breathing happening. So those sort of comments are really appreciated. Don't be like, oh, yeah, I got it, and he knows that I got it. I don't know. I need to know that people are getting it so that I can adjust and change the style. Could you not, in theory, really just focus on proper tongue posture when you feel the sutures becoming mobile again? I understand what you're saying. That does make sense. The proper tongue posture, though, as we say, is not actually pushing your thing forward. It is doing that. It's not just pushing your maxilla forward, but the tongue posture is also pulling that occiput down. So I think that the thing I take issue with is saying focus on proper tongue posture when you feel the sutures become mobile again. Those things go together. The sutures will become mobile again with the proper tongue posture. If you get that, let me pull it up again just so people understand that the proper tongue posture is this back of the tongue. It's this back area getting pulled back. This is like the roof of your mouth, right? You don't have a good understanding, most of us, of what's actually going on in your body, what your muscles are doing. So when it feels like the back third of your tongue is going to the roof of your mouth, where you're actually putting it is backwards. It's going towards your cervical spine. The tongue is a weird sensory area for humans. It flips upside down, it goes left and right, and the way that John Mew, the reason that he says the back third of the tongue to the roof is because that's like a cue, that's an indicator of what it should feel like. It feels like it's going to the roof of your mouth. Actually, it's bracing against your cervical spine. And you'll notice that because of the fact that your cervical spine is getting braced by it, right? And I just got a nice pop doing that. So these things will all go together. Are what you're saying right now about the trapped emotions being what German new medicine says? Yes. Yes. I've heard of that. I want to bring in people to speak about that as well. There's releasing, which is Brian Beijing, who does that throughout his body. I'm bringing in other people to talk about these things, but if you've heard of that, then you're on the right track for what we're talking about, right on. Because it says that healing the emotions is followed by a serious healing phase that can really wreck you. Yes. Hemercetic results in cancer or stroke, for example. I don't think so. I would seriously hope not. Because I think that you have to be possibly in German new medicine. I haven't looked into it deeply, but I understand what it is. I've had it explained to me. They might be doing it in such a way that you're processing stuff too quickly. And if you process stuff too quickly, this is what happens when you do. People take mushrooms, for example, or LSD or hallucinogens, and they have a really bad trip. It's because that sort of stuff helps you process things. And if you're not fully in charge of your mental state, if you're not able to meditate and like keep a distance from your thoughts, then things will process way quicker than you're ready for them. So I want people here to understand too that like it's not smooth sailing. Unfortunately, it's not like you just get better and feel better and better and better all the time. You might feel worse, but looking back after a month, you're gonna realize that you're feeling a lot better. But like moment to moment, day to day, feelings and emotions will come. I've had people message me about that. That's why it's really important that I keep remembering to bring it up. That like people have in their chest, in their heart, like as the breathing restarts, they really feel these emotions coming through. But if you can keep a distance from your thoughts, because that emotion is only really, really bad if you mentally think it is really, really bad. If you just feel it, it's just a feeling. And you can just feel through it and process it without having to dig deep into it. Getting your brain involved too much is what slows down this process. Your brain's gonna have to be involved at the start as we explain this thing. We're gonna have the diagrams and stuff so that you can understand like the logic behind it. Once you've understood the logic and put it into practice, then you should actually start feeling the motion behind it. You'll start feeling like the cranial motion, the bones moving, and that's when you'll really believe it, you know what I'm saying? I don't want you to believe me. I want you to practice this until you can feel the cranial motion, and then once you feel your bones in your face and your skull and all that move, because if I give you a palate expander and you put the palate expander in and you turn the screw and you feel it all through here, you're like, oh yeah, this works. Like this clearly is going to do something. So in the same way, when you can feel that flexing and that movement and that pulling apart, you'll get the same feeling, which is what I'm trying to. We're refining the teaching. I'm going to get better at it with time. I know that for sure. And I'm going to pull in people that are even better so that they can explain it to you. While I wait for more questions, the next thing I want to talk about, this is off topic, but please keep trying the breathing and let me know if there's anything else I can help with, because this is a different way than I taught it before. I've already changed the teaching style a couple of times, and we're going to find out the one that moves the best. Is there any role of the spinal fluid in this practice? Yes, the cranial motion, the cranial sacral motion pumps your spinal fluid. And this is also important if you have like brain fog and issues like that. Or just in general, it's going to improve your mental state quite a bit, because the cranial sacral fluid, this is the cranial C. I think Martin refers it to as the cranial C, which makes sense. And that goes down, all the way down through your spine into your sacrum. And so by restarting this motion, we're restarting the movement and the proper pumping of that cranial sacral fluid. That fluid not only delivers nutrients, it also delivers hormones, growth hormones, stuff like that that we need properly circulating. And it also clears out the waste products. So it's very, very important to have this stuff moving. Also the pressure from it, it's shown in studies that pressure increases in the pressure of this fluid also pull the sutures apart. So not only externally with the muscles, the external muscles are we pulling it apart, but by having this motion restart, we're causing fluctuations in that cranial pressure, which push the sutures apart from the inside as well. I have one more question about how you differ from the muse. Does eating soft food affect your cranial growth too? If it affects these muscles, but I don't think it does. Not enough to, because that is like a differentiation, right? Because their theory makes sense, especially with the masseters. So if we have a look here, this is part of the reason I came across this idea actually, is the fact that the masseter muscles connect in from the jaw into your zygomatic bones. So if you're really biting hard on stuff, hard foods, theoretically that contraction should pull out this whole area and give you good cheekbones, right? And develop your jaws. If we're looking at it from the position of our theories though, this also breathes. So this, as it loops down under the side of your jaw, it links into these muscles that go under. And so every time you're breathing in and your jaw gets pulled down a bit, so do your zygos and your temporalis that goes under the zygos. I just think that there's too many people that are perfectly good looking that don't have hard diets, right? It's just the fact of the matter. And I don't want to get too far into critiquing someone else's theories. I'm going to try and let these theories stand on their own. One thing I wanted to discuss is AGA. Some people here, I think probably AGA patients or FAGA patients. So somebody here said that they had control arc braces. There's a lawsuit going on right now that I just found out about. LVI and Gallela, and those are the people that basically have been putting out that appliance. They're getting sued now in the US, and that case is going forward. So I'll keep everyone updated about that. On the Great Work, which another thing is important, that the Great Work website is back up. We're at the end of this thing, but like I'm gonna cut and paste this into like a nice video. So if you haven't signed up to the Karna Dharma, I'm going to put the link out here for you. And this video is going to be the first thing that goes behind a paywall, because everything's been free so far. And to be quite honest, I see things being, I just feel like putting stuff out for free. But like if you want to support this, or if you want replays, if you end up missing these things, replays are going to be behind there, and they're going to be cut properly. And then eventually interviews and guided meditations. Like I know a hypnotherapist, and I'm going to bring her in on this so that she can, so you can just put in headphones and she can guide you through this process, stuff like that. 3D animations, that's the sort of things I want to do with this. I put it in the Discord again, even though almost everyone in the Discord has it. Let me put it on the YouTube channel. So in my case, the tongue feels long for my palate. It probably is. Because the soft tissue grows to its full size. I feel like the back of my tongue is hugging the vertical part of the back. My tongue bunches up. And then it's actually part of the front of my palate. I know, I'm sorry if you're listening to me try to read out the question. I'm not reading it perfectly fine. But yeah, you're essentially saying that your tongue is too big for your palate. And that's what I agree with. That the back third of your tongue, that's the part that you got to get up there. Let me put a link up in here. Let's put a link up in the chat. So the back third of your tongue is what you got to get up into that cervical area. And the front of your tongue, the tip of your tongue, we were incorrect. We were incorrect for many years about trying to figure out where the tip of the tongue goes. The tip of the tongue is going to land wherever it lands. It might even feel like it needs to come out of your mouth, or it's going to land behind your front teeth or something like that. Or sorry, behind your bottom teeth. It could even like be quite low in your mouth, because the fact of the matter is that your tongue has grown to its full size, your jaws have not. So just focus on the back of the tongue, focus on that cervical spine area, and pulling the back, not up, but you're actually pulling it back. Let me go back to that picture just in case you need it again. Just in case I can find it again. Here we go. Here, this is a perfect one with arrows too. Sometimes you find something even better. You can't see my screen. Here. how does that look? Doesn't look like anything. Here, this is the image I was talking about. So you can see how the tongue really meshes in. It's like that hyoid bone is like a junction. It's like a master area. That's the reason it becomes a bone, right? It starts off as cartilage. It starts off as soft, and then it hardens into like a solid bone, because this whole muscular area, it transfers force throughout it. So as you can see from your hyoid bone, it also pulls down. The words are failing me a little bit here, but I hope you can get a good, just by looking at this image of what's going on. You're pushing this area back. You see this arrow right here? This is what you're doing with the tongue posture. It's not pushing up against the maxilla. This is the back third right here. This is the back third that John Mew's talking about. This area gets pushed back, and reciprocally it pulls down on the temporalis in that area. And when you breathe in, every single time you breathe in, do that motion. So it's not static. You're not just doing a static force. Everything we do is a rhythmic force. It works with the breath. So on the breath in, you're going to pull this down. Actually, you know what I'm going to do for the Karna Dharma? I'm not going to post the whole thing. I'm going to cut this up into segments so that you get the segments. Like now we're on the tongue segment. And I might even re-edit them so that if you're getting the information for free, you're just going to have to accept that the fact that I'm going to do live streams and as best as we can. But I'm going to put in extra effort. I got an editing station now for Karna Dharma people so that I can edit it and like so you can just get the information. Because after I've explained it once, after I've found the images I need to explain it, then I can really make it into like a good explanation and exercises for everyone. So as you can see here, this is the back third of the tongue that John Mew's talking about. And this is also why it connects down into your chest area, and that's why you feel that motion of the jaw. Up here, hopefully you can see my mouse, I know you can. Up here, this is where the SBJ is, this phenobachelar joint. Here's your pituitary gland. This is the top of your airway. It all ties in together. You're gonna get a really holistic view of what we're doing here. Okay, I see that Sarah has. Okay, so how badly did you mess up getting the Adhd? I also had the Adhd, so I want to reassure you a little bit. I had a 1 centimeter. I don't think you did 1 centimeter. Like how big was your expansion? Even better, what we'll do is I have my Discord here. So I'm going to invite you to the Discord, and you can ask me, because not everyone here had Adhd. I want to talk about stuff that's relevant to everybody. So you can jump into the Discord, you can contact me personally, and we can discuss your case with the Adhd. If you have it in right now, my suggestion to you is to chew hard foods, even if it hurts. My suggestion is not medical, all right? You have to consult with your doctor and consult with, so don't say, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, right? I have to put that out there. But 4 millimeters, hopefully you should be fine. I think you should be fine. You have to be able to tell with your own, how strong are the teeth? Are they feeling loose? If they are, consult with the dentist, and also if they say it's okay to bite hard stuff, do that, because that'll anchor the teeth into the alveolar ridge. But you can contact me personally about that sort of stuff. I think that covered everything, and what I want people to understand too is that this is hard to do all the time. And people become neurotic about, you know, the mewing, and they become neurotic about this sort of thing too. I don't do this all the time, folks. That's one of the reasons that I started teaching it, because I'm hoping that you can be better than me at this, honestly. Because I know this works, and I just know if I was more disciplined. And because when I'm standing up, when I'm at work, when my head's in another space, like I can feel the breathing stop. But the important thing to note Here's something really, really important. This isn't like mewing or that sort of idea where if you're not paying attention to it, it's not happening. We are waking up those muscles again. We are waking up that subconscious breathing. So even if you're not completely on the ball all the time, that momentum stays there. Okay? So those muscles that you're waking up, they don't go all the way back to sleep just because you didn't pay attention for 10 minutes. They keep going in the background. Your breathing is a subconscious process. And that's why we're going to use the breathing to fix all these things, because to fix an adult that's physically messed up like this and emotionally messed up like this, it's a lifelong process if we just keep trying to do like an hour a day, or like, you know, go to sessions and go to like osteopaths and craniosacral therapists. But if we can get the breath, which is a subconscious thing that's happening all the time, if we can wake that up, then it'll start going. And there's been a lot of times now for me that I didn't intend to go into the breathing. I woke up, I was in bed or something like that, and the breathing was just happening so much, it was happening so intensely that I couldn't help but just drop what else I was doing, and I just had to focus on it. And that's what will happen with you. And like I said to someone else, like, this is a marathon where it gets easier the closer you get to the finish line. Because just getting everything restarted again, that's the hard part. Once things start moving again, it becomes just easier and easier and easier. So you'll pick up speed with time, is the important part to know. It's hardest at the start. Once you start getting the feeling though, once things start waking up, everything starts waking up. And people are asking, like, what should I focus on? Go for the path of least resistance. Feel where you feel the most. And also do the exercises. Take time to do the exercises that I'm telling you so that you can wake up all the areas. But once one area starts to wake up, everything else waking up becomes a lot easier. That makes sense, right? Like, once you start developing any body awareness at all, the rest of the body awareness will become easy. More easy. And once you start developing that concentration and that discipline, that ability to focus your awareness on your body and your emotions and process them. Somebody was reaching out to me that they're overwhelmed by the amount of emotion that was in their chest and their heart. They actually had to take a break from this because the amount of emotion that was coming out they couldn't handle. You'll get better at it until you can just not even worry about it. It'll just process and release. Why do you think chewing is important during Adhd? Chewing is important during any sort of teeth moving through the alveolar ridge, because that anchors them into the alveolar ridge. Can I do anything to speed up the braces part? That's Adhd talk. I gave you the link to the Discord. You're gonna have to contact me on Discord because I want to talk about stuff that's relevant to everyone on this stream. This is because I can give dental discussion, but I think I'm probably gonna have to lock that behind a paywall as well at some point, because I get too many messages these days. So, but in these live streams, when I do a live stream, like I'm saying here, like nothing goes behind a paywall in a live stream, and for the most part, for the great work and all that sort of stuff either. Any question that I get, I will answer. But like if you want the replays, you want concise answers, those go behind a paywall. Can you lay out all of the exercises concisely that you recommend doing each day? If you go to the Discord, in the lessons tab of the Discord, I do have that. And then the reason for the Karna Dharma as a paid project is going to be that when we have those exercises really concisely laid out, so that you have a page somewhere that you can go that has all the knowledge that you need in one convenient place. You're paying for the convenience, really. The knowledge will be free. I'm still streaming on Karna Dharma, on The Great Work, and I'm going to be bringing other people to speak for free on both projects. That's something I've been requested a couple times. That could we have conciseness? Could we please concisely explain what we need to do? What are the exercises? Do the ones that I've said so far. Find the one that you feel the most. Focus in on that one. And then and then wait out for a bit, because I'll expand on them. Because the breathing, there's a million different ways to skin this cat, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of these muscles breathe. So like, which one should we focus on? Martin Jones of holographic breathing focuses in on the jaw movement, and that's a good place for many people to start. And some people start better in other places. Some people start in the psoas. Some people got it through the occiput and the SCM. So refining those exercises, that's why it's a project. And I didn't want to wait. That was the biggest thing. Like, a big part of me was like telling me to wait until I have everything figured out and then present it to people, but that's just not the way life works, I don't think, anymore. Even before I have everything figured out, I have to start teaching it, so that'll help me figure it out, and at least other people can start making progress in the meantime, rather than me having this knowledge and no one else is working on this with us. So we're working as a group, we're working as a team. Join the Discord, and if you would like to support this financially, and if you would like replays and stuff like that, you can go over to the Karna Dharma and support it there. I think that's all we got for now. Let me just check the Discord. Hello, Indez. Sarah Lynn, thank you for behaving. That's everything for today. You can jump over to the Discord if you have any more questions, though, and we'll be doing more live streams, and we'll be doing them at various hours in case you couldn't catch this whole one, for different time zones. Do you think it will be years until you have everything accessible? No, things are speeding up quickly. Yeah, it won't be years. It will be probably on the scale of months. Like, this is the first lesson that's going back there, but like, to put into words, like, I'm talking to a lot of people, I'm talking to them more quickly. I'm bringing more people into this project, and everything accessible, everything that you need to know within a month or less than, or maybe 2 months, to have all that out. But we're gonna keep expanding on it, right? To help you understand better. So like, my verbal explanations and me just using pictures I found on the internet are not sufficient, I think. I want to get 3D animations, or even 2D, as best as I can, so that you can really get a feel for the motion that's going on. And somebody I was talking to uses devices, actually. Uses devices, and I hope to bring him on soon. I talked to him on the weekend, I'm gonna talk to him again. They use monitoring devices so that you can feel whether your breath is proper or not. Hypnotherapy, so that you can just put in the headphones and you can just do a guided meditation. Those are all things that we're going to keep adding to the project, and right now it's a lifetime access. So for $77, you get access to everything that ever comes out for the rest of the project, within reason. Yeah, so we're developing that still. So the things that you need to know are in the lessons. In the lessons on the Discord, everything you need to know, absolutely need to know, is there. That's going to get more refined over time. The lessons are going to get better, and we're going to add more and more resources to make sure that you understand this and feel it, to really feel it. So neurocranial restructuring won't do anything for sphenoid correction. What it does, I've had NCR before, a couple of times. What it does is you get a real satisfying crunch, and it loosens up that whole area. So, I as hesitant as I am to recommend people try any treatment, if you're really jammed up, and you can find an NCR practitioner close to you, and they do that endonasal, they stick a balloon up into your nasal passageways, and they inflate it, and it adjusts your sphenoid. By itself, it can't fix everything, because all it's doing is really just like reintroducing some movement to a jammed up area. But if you do really feel jammed up, and if you can feel it in your occiput, let's have this as the barometer. If you can feel the pull down and popping in that movement on your occiput, I'm not saying this specifically to the person that said that. That person, wait. Like, if you can feel it heavily in your occiput and through your body for a long time, but it feels like it's not moving through the rest of your skull, that would probably be a time to go get the NCR endonasal, because it's possible that you're just so jammed up here that the motion is not translating, and so the physical force of that balloon inflating could get the motion to restart. You should make a hypnosis we can listen to overnight. Yeah, I'm speaking to a lady who has a very nice voice. I think my voice is okay, but hers is a lot better, and she's a trained hypnotherapist. So she's actually told me not to call it hypnotherapy because there's whole licensing and, like, you know, there's a legal thing about what constitutes hypnotherapy, what's guided meditation. But I'm gonna get a professional to do it. That's what I'm saying. So basically, NCR shouldn't be the only thing, but it can be good in combination with all of this. Yeah. I wouldn't even do it too often, because again, like, if it was gonna work, who was it? NCR, Dean Howell. Dean Howell had the face mask, right? So in combination with his NCR treatments, there was also the face mask, and that was supposed to bring out the maxilla. We're not the first people that have tried this, right? Everyone's trying to bring out the maxilla, and that didn't work. Because if it did work, we would have heard about it by now. It's been like 5-6 years. So the NCR treatment can get the motion restarted. It's a good thing to do, but actually there's no buts. Do what you like, you know what I'm saying? I don't try to dictate everyone's treatment plan. I'm telling you that this breathing stuff works though. This breathing and feeling through it and getting the cranial motion restarted, that works. You'll feel it through your face, and you'll feel it through your skull, and you'll feel everything start to unwind. Your personality will change, like, because you're letting go of past emotions, past trauma, stuff that was like gripping you, holding you down. So beyond and above and beyond that, you can ask me questions for sure. I won't tell you what to do or what not to do though. That's your own treatment plan. Wait for somebody to finish their question about the NCR, because they're still typing about it. So let me talk about my own results actually. More symmetry, I would say. More symmetry for myself. I know that this isn't completely related, but the voice has improved a lot just because of the fact that, like, I think you might be able to notice from the start of the stream to the end of the stream, my voice is probably getting a bit higher because of the fact that my whole posture and my muscles aren't correct yet, so I can feel these muscles starting to tighten up as I've been talking for like an hour and like standing up for an hour. So symmetry's improved. The thing that I know worked, like I know this worked, was because I used to have crippling back spasms down my back, like in the mid back, and they would happen for no reason. I was in a job for a while where I had to pick up huge amounts of weight and like carry it around for a long time, and even then my back didn't give out. But I would just like take a step wrong walking around the house and my back would just, and I'd be out for like 3 days, and it was terrifying. I was like, you know, young still, and I was also very angry. So I found with the breath work that releasing that anger also kind of released my body, and then my back spasm stopped because my spine decompressed. And I was listening to an Alan Watts lecture, and Alan Watts said, almost as a throwaway thing, that the ego is a sense of muscular contraction in the body, and it clicked for me. It all made sense. It makes total sense that you're kind of holding on to your personality in your body, the things that you like or dislike, the hates that you have, mostly negative stuff. You're holding on to that in your body, and that's causing all sorts of issues. And this person who does NCR and face mask, he says you can achieve 4 millimeters, but you have to wear it much longer than the prescribed 30 minutes. I would think so. I would not think 30 minutes a day is going to get you 4 millimeters, or else we would all be doing that, and Dean Howell would be a billionaire if it worked. I feel my personality is already changing because of the breathing. Yeah, that's honestly the best. It's it's like a carrot. It's like a carrot, right? You know, people want to look better, and it's one of the best ways to get people to go down this road. And I think we will, because if we can get that phenobachelar joint pumping and moving again, that's what the whole cranium hangs off of. And the creator of this body is within you. You recognize that, right? When you eat an apple or you eat a piece of bread, is that bone? Is that muscle? No, it's not. It goes inside of you, and your internal intelligence turns it into what it needs to be. Your entire skeleton gets replaced once every 7 years. Your bones are constantly being reshaped and removed. So you have the capacity for growth and healing through your whole life. It's just finding out, why is it not happening? Why did it not happen with your skull? And the reason it didn't happen is because the cranial sacral motion stopped, because your breathing all stopped and jammed up. Yeah, your personality would change though. I used to be very angry, and I'm not anymore. I'm very calm now, and very loving. And oh, actually, that's something too. Some people are asking, like, okay, this is your negative emotions. They all get trapped, right? So what about the positive stuff? The positive stuff is important. It really is, because if you keep yourself in like a really, I try not to use the same words that other people use, like vibrational state and stuff like that, because those things have connotations now. But if you keep yourself, I'll use a Punjabi word, it's a Sikh thing, Chardhi Kala, which means eternal optimism. If you stay optimistic about this fact, rather than, you know, once you find out that your body's all messed up and you're all scrunched up and stuff like that, it's very easy to feel very negative about that. And you have to flip that into feeling positive about the fact that you now realize that you're all scrunched up, and you can start to fix that. And you send loving thoughts to your body. Listen, it works both ways. You go get angry right now, try it. Go get angry at something and then feel how your body feels. And then tell me that your emotions don't directly translate into your body. Go get pissed. Go get really angry and just then feel how your body feels. It's going right into your body. So feeling loving, feeling gratitude, feeling positive emotions, optimism, those also translate into your body, and they'll help you speed up this process. If you can stay in a positive state as much as possible throughout the day, it'll keep you, those restrictions that you currently have, it'll keep them from tightening and twisting up. It'll keep them open. Less anxious. That's the anxiety that people have, that anxiety and general depression that's just in the background. That's what it is. They're just not aware of it. When it builds up so much, it basically starts firing to your brain. Like your nervous system is firing that something's wrong. Like we're in fight or flight mode, something's gone wrong. And then you look around like, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Because really in the outside world, nothing's wrong, but like you're holding on to all this past stuff. So that's where the anxiety comes from. That's where depression comes from. Yeah. How long have you been doing the breathing yourself? Properly, I want to say like less than 6 months, but I've known about it for 2 years. I've known about these concepts and everything for 2 years, and I don't think it's going to take you 2 years to catch up to me, is the thing. Because I went down a bunch of rabbit holes, and I went down a bunch of dead ends. Like I tried to force it, you know what I mean? As soon as I found out that this thing, the chest muscles and up into here, and I made these connections through the muscles, I tried to force everything into place, like just breathing hard, and it doesn't work. And I tried to like focus on specific ones and like logically say like, oh, I'm asymmetric on this side, so I'll fix this and then fix this, and that doesn't work either. So the reason I'm teaching is so that you don't go, you don't bounce off. You know, the success stories, they pretty much end up failing until they really get it. So I want to prevent those. I want to teach you this and then tell you all the things not to do, like those failures that I had. Isn't it supposed to be an equilibrium of the positive and negative emotions of the mind? I don't know if that makes sense. I like your idea of equilibrium. Equilibrium is just kind of a neutral though. And at real equilibrium, you're really blissful, to be quite honest. There's no reason to have the bad emotions, and I don't want to demonize them. I don't want to vilify bad emotions. Emotions are just emotions. They're not, I think you understand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say you should never feel mad and that feeling mad is bad. Um, they have their uses, but they shouldn't be stuck in your body. That's the thing. If they're unprocessed, then they're stuck in your body and they accumulate and they mess up your breathing and they stop that craniosacral motion. In the moment, you can feel however you want to feel. The issue is you're not feeling in the moment. You're still you have a backlog of stuff that you were supposed to process, but you got distracted or something distracted you and you didn't process it. Say someone dies. Say someone dies, that's an enormous grief and people don't want to deal with that grief. Pretty much as soon as they can, they will try to distract themselves. They'll go on their phone or something. Whereas if they were really just sitting quietly, maybe in nature, that's why I think tribal societies, and they also, tribal societies and indigenous communities, they have celebrations and they have rituals and they have things that are supposed to bring out the emotion, chanting in rhythm, those sort of esoteric things, and also just the physical activity and the lack of distractions available, that your body just processes stuff by itself. Your body has that innate healing capacity, but in industrialized societies, we're so damn distracted and our brains just like intellectually flipping all over the place that we end up accumulating this stuff. So it's okay to have negative emotions. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be everything. What's not okay is the fact that you didn't fully process that emotion, so it's still stuck in your body. So you got to process it and get it all out. So you haven't seen visible progress. No, I've seen visible progress. My gauge for it here, like if we have a look right here, is now I look different. And now I look different. So I don't believe pictures, and I believe the mirror because I see the mirror over time. I do look better, like I know I look better. And the way that people treat me, I'm not like a male model. And like that's why I didn't show my face on the great work, because I didn't want to make it about how I look. But I just know, I can tell from the fact that how people treat me and how I look in the mirror that I do look different. Overly dramatic, no, mostly in the eye area. Mostly in the eye area, yeah. I think your changes too, I think for most people, they're going to start up here. Because that's where that's phenobachelar. That's where that comes up and connects into here. So that this is the area that's going to develop most at first. And then the jaw and all that sort of stuff catch up later. So I think my changes are quite big. But like I said, I have scans. I have scans from way before I started any of this treatments. And those are scans as an adult when I was like 23. So my proof is going to be, before I started teaching this, I wanted to figure it all out, fix it, and then show you the proof, and then be undeniably having changed. But I think part of what I have to do is to teach other people. My indication, when will I go get another scans? That's the question you should be asking me. When am I gonna go get another set of scans to prove this? I'm gonna go get another set of scans when my wisdom teeth, which are all pretty much impacted, when those wisdom teeth come in, then I'll go get a new set of scans. They are coming in like slightly, like in millimeter type ways each. And I'm 27. So they are coming in slightly, but once they fully erupt, even that won't be full growth, but it'll have been enough that I can justify going to get another set of scans done. When I mewed for a while, there was a girl who I hadn't seen in a while, and she told me that I looked different, but she couldn't tell what it was. That's the thing, you don't end up looking like a completely different person. You end up looking just like a really, really much healthier version of yourself. I think the two things that are going to fix first for most people are the asymmetry, because once you get the motion moving back in that SBJ, let me look up a picture for you. because this is something that's understood in osteopathy and craniosacral therapy, is that a lot of, that's not what I'm looking for, but that's a nice hairstyle, SBJ torsion, that's what we're looking for. So it's pretty well understood that the SBJ not being properly aligned causes facial asymmetries. And what dentists and those type of people, practitioners, try to do is they just say that, yeah, the SBJ is messed up, let's just fix the face. Whereas we're not doing that. This is the root of the problem. This is the root. And that's why I think this is the solution, because we're not doing a band-aid. We're not fixing the symptoms. We're fixing the core cause, which is this phenobachelar junction stopping its motion and stopping it in a potentially improper way, in an imbalanced way. What do you think is holding you back from What do you think is holding you back from making what people would consider significant change, or do you think it'll just be a matter of time? So if so, can you quantify roughly how long? This is in theory, this is easy enough to do. In practice, there's no way of knowing how much is left, because it is a good question. I want to justify it. I want to give a good answer here. When I lay down at night, or when I lay down here, and I focus on the breathing, and I get tinglings. This is something I want you to experience as well, is those muscular patterns, those fascial patterns, those take nervous system energy to hold on to. So, right, because any muscle contraction, that's your nervous system is contracting that muscle. And so when those contractions release, you can actually feel it as like an electrical sensation through your body, through that area releasing. People talk about this in yoga all the time, so it's not just me experiencing this. People have experienced that before. And so when I lay down and I really get into it, I can get those going like constantly, like just continuously up through my back, up through my chest, and all those areas, and like nice popping. Hello, I need this. I need to become a better version of myself. Yeah, that version of you is I'm sorry, I'm not trying to jump around. I'm going to answer that question. That better version of you is there under the stuff that you piled on top of it. So it's not even self-improvement, it's self-destruction. So like a Fight Club reference. But, right, that's what the Buddha says. This is spiritual. In the sense that we're talking about the same stuff that a lot of spiritual traditions talk about. That you're not improving yourself, you're just getting rid of all the nonsense that you built up over time that change your body and your mind and your personality and stuff like that. So when I'm laying down in bed or when I'm going to sleep and stuff like that and I'm really tuned in, I can feel it. And I can feel the popping, I can hear the popping, I can feel it all through my face and everything. And I'm like, if I could just sit like this for a week or 2 weeks straight, I could have fixed this whole thing. But there is some natural like limit. There's like a speed limit, you know what I'm saying? The rate of correction that you can get. Now, if you were to follow some sort of advanced yogi and go to an ashram, which I haven't had the ability to do yet, I guess I'm making excuses because I could do that if I really, really wanted to. But because I got initiated into like Isha Kriya, so I could. But you'll get the sensation yourself, and you'll get frustrated with yourself. Like I want to tell you that. Like I'm frustrated with myself, and you'll have this feeling as well, because once you start really getting that progress, you're like, wow, I can actually fix this. And then you might kick yourself throughout the day when you realize that you're not breathing, you're not doing the breathing. Like, am I doing the breathing right now? No, I'm not. Like, I'm fully in my head. But there's ways of relaxing it. Like if I let it drop down into my body, I relax more, that's better. And now that I've been practicing it for so long, I can restart it quickly. So if I were to sit in the meditative state and maintain that meditative state for like 2 weeks to a month, I think it would correct the whole thing. But I can only end up doing that like maybe 20 minutes a day, like at the state that I'm at. And the thing is, I know people can do it better. I'm hoping people do it better than I do. There's practitioners out there. There's people out there that can maintain these states way better than we can. I have work. I do a 9 to 5. I got like family stuff going on around me. These are all excuses, to be honest. They're just excuses. But when I find the time to really sit down and practice and tune into this, then I'm sure that this is fixable in like no time. But I end up getting distracted. Yeah, and those 2 years that I spent messing around, you know what I'm saying? Those are the mistakes that I want you to skip, so that you can get straight to the part that I'm at. Like, so you can get straight to where I'm at right now, and then your correction is totally up to how much time and how much awareness you develop in your body. And for me right now still, I have to be laying down to really get progress. That is a major issue right now, because if I could do this while standing up and sitting, like really do it properly, then our progress would be like skyrocketing. But right now I still have to be laying down on a firm surface to really get that stuff popping. So that limits the amount of time I can even practice. It has to be like before bed or in the mornings, or like I'll still try to do it at least once in the day. So that limits it. But like when you can get it going, like Martin Jones does. Martin Jones, when he says it's going on 24/7 for him. So when it's going on 24/7, he said it fixes dentition, and I believe him. So when you can really get it, like the momentum going, and you can really make it subconscious, then your progress will be so quick. And I want you all to speed past me if possible. I'll go over here. I trust the divine timing of the universe. I have endless energy and boundless flow, and I need to start meditating. I need to lay down to meditate properly. That's the thing. I trust that people have been warning me. I've been warned a couple times that, if you start teaching people this, they might not be ready for it. And like, are you prepared for the fact that people might have mental roller coasters, essentially? And also the fact that what if someone's way too up in their head and they can't experience the breathing at all? And I'm just trusting that the fact that the people who find me here now and like find this teaching now are the people that are ready for it. So if you're listening to this and you're wondering, like, are you not advanced enough? The only reason that you're finding this now is that you are ready to start it. After what you said, I feel many people don't process their existential depression because in a way, life is a distraction from death, just like one gets addicted to stuff when the going gets tough. Life and death are the same thing. I don't want to be too... I'll get guru-like when I fix my face, you know what I'm saying? Like when I can really say from a position of authority. There are people that can speak better. Like I recommend, say Muji. I would recommend him. Let me look him up real quick for anyone, because this is a person that will get you straight to the point of awareness, without any of the religious or any of that sort of stuff that's going on around it. Just go straight to the point of developing awareness. This is the gentleman's name here, Moogi, and he'll clue you into this, because I've been learning from this person a lot. Could this be important for holographic breathing progression? Yeah, this is so the way Martin looked at holographic breathing, the way he found out about it, is that he was dying from Lyme's disease. And by really tuning into his breath, the breathing just started for him. And we've discussed this before, but I think that that is your natural breathing pattern. That's what your breathing looks like when you are not all constricted. Martin is one of the people who understands the breath the best. I've learned a lot from him. I would not have put all these pieces together if not for Martin teaching me. So in holographic breathing, I'm going to bring Martin on to talk about where he came up with the name. But holographic breathing is Martin explaining how the breath works when it's not constricted, how the normal breath is supposed to be. People that are already very attractive, people that are already very well developed, they're holographic breathing all the time already. They just don't know it. It's just subconscious for them. And again, like, that's not to say that like physical appearance is like a one-to-one connection to how spiritually developed you are. There are connections, but it's not one-to-one, so you can't make judgments like that. I've been a Buddhist since a young age, and the merriment of Dharmic teaching and kneeling is something I never connected. That's what the fact that everything connects is why I had to teach this. The muscular system, the breathing, the airway, all of the yogic teachings, the fact that this, traditional Chinese medicine, new German medicine, the fact that all of these things point to the same conclusion, the cranial-sacral motion, the fact that everything links up like a puzzle with, and that's the thing about this, is when something makes too much sense, it's hard to explain. That's a weird sentence to say, but like, when something is linking too many things together, then it's like, where do you even start? And I'm just trying to start somewhere, and we're going to start with the breathing, because the breathing will fix the craniofacial form, which is what a lot of us are here to do. Martin claims to have moved youngsters' maxillas, but he doesn't seem to feel the change achieved in their appearance is even worth mentioning as being a notable result of his work. For Martin, fixing his Lyme's disease was the big thing, because Lyme's disease kills you. Like, it's a deadly thing and has no cure. So for him, curing an incurable disease seemed to be like the peak of what you could possibly do, and that makes sense, right? The fact that he fixed his own dentition and that child's dentition was it was a big deal, but he didn't realize that people out here wanted to know about that stuff. He's clearing out the cranial C and clearing out toxins and clearing out Lyme's disease and healing your body from within. That's what he was teaching. He didn't realize until like I reached out to him that like a lot of people are really trying to fix their maxillas and their dentition. And now that he's realized that, I think he's going to be speaking about it more. He's going to be coming on board with us as well, as much as he would like to. I'll have him as much as he wants to. I've spoken to people as well, by the way. The great work is, I'm paying for the whole thing out of pocket, and it's going to be anyone who wants to post there can post there. So like I told Martin that like if you want to put videos up on the great work, you can go ahead. There's a dietitian in Australia who's done really good work with compiling the evidence that the dental issues, the jaw issues are not genetic. The fact that they are, just that they're not genetic issues, that we can conclude that much. And so hopefully that person can also put something up as well. And that's what really made me believe Martin too. The fact that fixing that youngster's jaw and fixing his own was just something that he mentioned on the offside. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't realize that that was a big deal until I reached out to him and said like, hey, this is a really big deal. That makes it more likely that he was telling the truth about it. Yeah, could this perhaps be the key that allows us to achieve 10 millimeters correction? Yeah. It's that the key, it's called the keystone bone, and let me go back to showing my screen here. It's called the keystone bone of the skull. And I don't, as we go forward, as I try to learn how to present this, you don't even need to look at the sphenoid and the occiput as separate from the spine. Is there really any good reason to look at your skull as separate from your spine other than like just convenience of education? It's all, this is the, it all connects into the same thing. And actually in craniosacral therapy theory, what is it called? Midline. The midline actually goes all the way from your sacrum through, this is another, like these are the connections that I made. So the fact that it all connects together is what really feels good. So this is craniosacral theory, that all the way from your cranium, and then it goes through your occiput, through your SBJ, through your sphenoid, and your ethmoid bone. And also this is where the third eye is in the chakra system as well. So yeah, it all fits together. And so if we get this area moving again and get this area expanded, then that's where that 10 meters comes from. I don't think we have 10 millimeters in our maxillas. That's another really big thing, because if we look back at the tongue, where's the tongue one? Okay, it might be gone. But if you look at this area here at the back, let me try to find it. Tongue. No, what's that called? What's that styloid process? Right. No, if we look at the distance that's here, we don't have 10 millimeters of expansion in the maxilla, although it will grow. The maxilla will grow. Rather, we want the whole maxilla to come forward, and like this area here is where the real expansion is going to go. This is your occiput. This is the sphenoid. This whole area basically expands out like a balloon with the breathing restarting, right? Like this is where that junction is. Like this, getting all this to come apart again is where we're gonna get the growth. Otherwise, look at this. You got your maxilla right here. Getting 1 centimeter of growth out of this one suture is a tough ask. Whereas getting a little bit of growth, getting 1 millimeter out of all of these together, that's a much more gentle thing to ask your body to do, right? I want to reiterate that again. Getting 10 millimeters of growth in one direction from one suture is a big ask, whereas getting the whole skull to expand, getting all of those sutures open, then all of them only have to expand 1 or 2 millimeters individually to get the type of growth we're looking for. Last question, but everybody in the mewing community talks about the chin tuck exercise. I don't agree with the chin tuck. It makes sense from a mechanical point of view if you think that pushing up on the maxilla is what causes it to grow, and that's why it was called, like that's why people started doing it. Mechanically it makes sense. I don't agree with that, because mechanically, if mechanics worked the way we were thinking that they worked, we would have just used face masks. We would have put face masks on everyone, pulled up and forward, and our maxillas would have grown. The fact that that doesn't work shows that it's not a mechanical reason. There is mechanics to the way the whole thing, the muscles and everything function together, but it's not just pushing up on the maxilla. That doesn't work. In yoga, the instructor is asked to focus on your breath and the muscles, which are contracting in various poses, and one can treat their body with only physical poses prescribed, or is it forceful fixing? Depends on your instructor. Depends on your instructor. There's a lot of yoga instructors out there. These things have to be prescribed. That's the thing with pranayama. What I'm teaching is essentially pranayama. It's control over the breath and awareness of the breath. These are the 8 limbs of yoga. And they all go together, by the way. Um, so like pranayama's down here, honoring the breath and uncovering the light within. Forget that actually. Just mindful breathing, being mindful of the breath. And dhyana is deconcentration, dropping all of the efforts and letting go. Samadhi is what you get to. That's called the eighth limb. So people are asking about the positive emotions. These are the positive emotions. Constant, complete harmony and self with the universe. So when you start to release all this other stuff, you just actually be happy all day. And you don't have to be happy for any reason. You just are happy because that's your natural state. Like a kid. Does a baby need to be, it cries when it needs to cry. If it doesn't have a reason to cry, it's just giggling and happy, and kids are like that, and you get more and more. That's why there's a correlation. Like, why can you put a face mask on a kid and it grows and not on an adult? Because the kids are still, they're not rigid yet. They haven't become like a hard thing yet. And this is becoming like less rigid. You're becoming flexible again. You're becoming more alive, to be quite honest. And those are asanas, postures. And the thing is, when you learn this in one posture, it's going to expand to other postures. So if you can only feel this while laying down, I can feel it in multiple places, but to really get it going, it's going to be in one posture. And they say that there's the 4 dignities of the Buddha, which is the 4 dignities of man, which is sitting, standing, laying, and walking. So those are the 4 places. I think walking would probably be the hardest and the last one that most people are going to try to approach. But like getting your body to work this way in all of those postures is that's when you're going to be like making explosive progress. Because I can do it while lying down. I can do it when I'm sitting, when I'm paying attention. I can't really do it when standing, and I can't really do it when walking. But those are basically the 4 functions that humans can do. So if you can get the breathing working in all of those, then it'll work. And I almost forgot my point, but I'm getting better at not forgetting my points, to be honest. That pranayama has been taught now as breathing exercises. So they tell you to do this pranayama or that pranayama. Before, it was hidden behind a master-disciple relationship, and that was for a reason. Because the master would tell the student what pranayama to do specific to what they needed. It's not just, you do this and it has this benefit, you do this and it does have benefits, things like that do exist, but it wasn't like, yeah, just do whatever you want and just do all the pranayamas and just cycle through them. It was like the master gauging the progress of the student and giving them things to do. And that takes a lot of skill, that takes a lot of ability to diagnose one person. To actually come up with something that works for a lot of people, that's some very high level stuff. But it was to diagnose it for that one person, like what they need to do to fix themselves or like progress spiritually. And so whatever those yoga instructors are, I don't want to critique anyone else, but there's a lot of people that instruct before they're ready to instruct. And I stay within my lanes, you know what I'm saying? Like I stay within my arcs, I stay within what I understand. I'm not gonna go, even though I get questions that I could BS an answer, I don't BS any answers. I'm only gonna tell you what is in my experience and what I know is true. That seems like a good way to end this, because like my neck's getting tight, my voice is my voice doesn't usually go, but I think it might even be going. Before I started this session though, I want you to know that I spent 2 hours laid out really focusing on the breath and getting those releases. I fell asleep, which is usually the issue with me, because I have to lay down to do this to really get quick progress. And with quick progress, people have experienced that in holographic breathing, that they fall asleep, they get knocked out pretty much. Heard about beer yoga? No, you can tell me about that sometime. So with holographic breathing and processing the traumas, your ego kind of protects you from it and knocks you out. And when your eyes are closed and you're laying down, that's a really easy position to get knocked out into. But that's what I did before we started here, and that's why I felt like I had to make sure I was confident going into this, that I know this works. And I was getting releases and pops all throughout my body, all throughout my skull. And I wish I could have mastered this before telling everyone. I really wish I could have. I really wish I could have gotten all the way and had the scans and just proven it. And then, but if you can follow along with the instructions now, and you can feel it throughout your face and your skull now, then you yourself will understand why it works. Because when you can feel your maxilla moving, then I don't have to convince you that there's a way to expand your maxilla with the breath. You'll feel it move and flex with the breath, and you'll know that that works. And that we have the scientific evidence that says that movement at the sutures induces bone growth. And that's my main goal right now, to get as many people feeling it as possible. Okay, that's it for today. We went way over what I was thinking I was going to do. I was going to do like a 20-minute session. We're at 2 hours. Thank you everyone for sticking around here. I'm going to leave this up. I know I said I was going to put it behind a paywall. I'm going to leave it up. It's 2 hours. Whoever wants to watch it, there you go. 2 hours. I have to give, people paid me. You know, they paid me for the Karna Dharma, so like I have to. Those meditations, I promise, those sort of things, those are going behind the paywall. So it's not going to be everything free. Stuff that like I really had to work to get like another professional to work on with me, those sort of things will go behind the paywall. But as much as free possible, I will give it out for free. And I really do appreciate if you, oh yeah, I have to teach people, somebody brought it up, that I have to tell people what scans or what measurements they can take so that they can measure their own progress. That's important. I'll consult with Mike Mew on that. There's an app called Bellis 3D. We're digressing. We're about to end. We're about to pop this off at the end. 2 hours and 2 minutes, 22 seconds. Whoa, we'll look at that synchronicity. All right, folks. I'll leave this up. You can go in the Discord. You can ask me anything, because this is my life project now. This is what I do now. It's to make sure everyone else understands it, and I hope that you get progress. I will make sure that you get progress. If you follow along with me, trust me, and I will make sure that you feel the bones moving and you can catch up to where I'm at. And once you start catching up to where I'm at, I'm going to point you to people that are way far in advance of me so that you can catch up to them.